Om Sai Ram. Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 1. Obeisances. The story of grinding wheat and its philosophical significance. According to the ancient and revered custom, Himat Pant begins the work Sri Sai Satcharitra with various salutations. First, he makes obeisance to God Ganesha to remove all obstacles and make the work a success, and says that Sri Sai is the God Ganesha. Then to the goddess Saraswati to inspire him to write the work, and says that Sri Sai is one with the goddess and that he is himself singing his own life. Then to the gods Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar, the creating, preserving and destroying deities respectively, and says that Sainath is one with them, and he, the great teacher, will carry us across the river of worldly existence. Then to his tutelary deity Narayan Adinath, who manifested himself in Konkan, the land reclaimed by Parshurama from the sea, and to Adi Purush of the family. Then to Bharadwaj Muni, into whose Gotra or clan he was born, and also to various rishis, Yajnavalkya, Bhrigu, Parashara, Narada, Vedavyasa, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Shuka, Shaunaka, Vishwamitra, Vashishta, Valmiki, Vamadeva, Jaimini, Vaishampayana, Nava Yogendra, etc. And also modern saints such as Nivritti, Dhyanadev, Sopan, Muktabai, Janardhan, Eknath, Namdev, Tukaram, Kanha, and Narhari, etc. Then to his grandfather Sadashiv, Father Raghunath, his mother who left him in his infancy, to his paternal aunt who brought him up, and to his loving elder brother. Then to the readers, and praise them to give their whole and undivided attention to his work. And lastly, to his Guru Sri Sainath, an incarnation of Sri Dattatreya, who is his whole refuge and who will make him realize that Brahma is the reality and the world an illusion. And incidentally, to all the beings in whom the Lord dwells. After describing in brief the various modes of devotion according to Parashara, Vyasa, Shandilya, etc., the author goes on to relate the following story. It was sometime after 1910 that I went, and one fine morning, to the masjid in Shirdi for having a darshan of Sai Baba. I was wonderstruck to see the following phenomena. After washing his mouth and face, Sai Baba began to make preparations for grinding wheat. He spread a sack on the floor and thereon set a hand mill. He took some quantity of wheat in a winnowing fan, and then, drawing up the sleeves of his kafani and taking hold of the peg of the hand mill, started grinding the wheat by putting a few handfuls of wheat in the upper opening of the mill and rotated it. I thought, what business Baba had with grinding of wheat when he possessed nothing and stored nothing, and as he lived on alms. Some people who had come there thought likewise, but none had the courage to ask Baba what he was doing. Immediately, this news of Baba's grinding wheat spread into the village, and at once Men and women ran to the masjid and flocked there to see Baba's act. 4 bold women from the crowd forced their way up and, pushing Baba aside, took forcibly the peg or handle into their hands, and singing Baba's Leelas started grinding. At first, Baba was enraged, but on seeing the women's love and devotion, he was much pleased and began to smile. While they were grinding, they began to think that Baba had no house, no property, no children, none to look after, and he lived on alms, and therefore he did not require any wheat flour for making bread or roti. What will he do with all this big quantity of flour? Perhaps, as Baba is very kind, he will distribute the flour amongst us. Thinking in this way, and while singing, they finished the grinding, and after putting the handmill aside, they divided the flour into 4 portions and began to remove them by taking 1 portion by head. Baba, who was calm and quiet up until now, got wild and started abusing them, saying, "Ladies, have you gone mad? Whose father's property are you looting away? Have I borrowed any wheat from you so that you can safely take the flour? Now do this. Take the flour and throw it on the village borders." On hearing this, the women felt abashed and, whispering amongst themselves, went to the outskirts of the village and spread the flour as directed by Baba. I asked Shirdi people, what was this that Baba did? They replied that as the cholera epidemic was spreading in the village, this was Baba's remedy against the same. It was not wheat that was ground, but cholera itself was ground to pieces and pushed out of the village. From this time onward, the cholera epidemic subsided and the people of the village were happy. I was much pleased to know all this, but at the same time my curiosity was also aroused. I began to ask myself, what earthly connection was there between the wheat flour and cholera? What was the causal relation between the two, and how to reconcile them? The incident seems to be inexplicable. I should write something on this and sing to my heart's content Baba's sweet Leelas. Thinking in this way about his Leela, my heart was filled with joy, and I was thus inspired to write Baba's life, the Sai Satcharitra. And as we know, with Baba's grace and blessings, this work was successfully accomplished. Now let's look at the philosophical significance of grinding. Apart from the meaning which the people of Shirdi put on this incident of grinding wheat, there is, we think, a philosophical significance too. Baba lived in Shirdi for about 60 years, and during this long period, he did the business of grinding almost every day. Not, however, the wheat alone, but the sins, the mental and physical afflictions, and the miseries of his innumerable devotees. The 2 stones of his mill consisted of karma and bhakti, the former being the lower one and the latter the upper one. The handle with which Baba worked the mill consisted of dhyan. It was the firm conviction of Baba that knowledge or self-realization is not possible unless there is a prior act of grinding of all our impulses, desires, sins, and of 3 gunas. They are sattva, rajas, and tamas, and the ahankar, which is so subtle and therefore so difficult to get rid of. This reminds us of a similar story of Kabir, who, seeing a woman grinding corn, said to his guru Nipat Niranjan, "I am weeping because I feel the agony of being crushed under this wheel of worldly existence like the corn in the hand mill." Nipat Niranjana replied, "Do not be afraid. Hold fast to the handle of knowledge of this mill as I do, and do not wander far away from the same, but turn inward to the center, and you are sure to be saved." Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.